What's up, kings and waspinators? This is Joshua coming to you with another video, and today I'm going to talk a little about a thing I call self-organizing conspiracies. Now, conspiracy theories are a rather common phenomenon and not entirely internet-driven. They existed before the internet, but they have been a central feature of the internet since its very early days, and they're certainly quite topical right now. Now, a few days ago, a channel called Midnight's Edge, which of the critical entertainment channels on YouTube is probably the one I respect the most, because normally they come with a very well-researched research to back up what they're saying in their videos, compared to like a lot of the other channels like Geeks and Gamers and World Class Bullshitters, Anti-Trekker, and just a whole slew of them that are more reacting off gut feelings and supposition as opposed to any like actual cold hard facts of what's happening behind the scenes on the corporate level, because we've got to deal with the fact that these are corporations. And Disney doesn't need to engage in conspiracies. But Midnight's Edge made this video where they did this really interesting trick where the audio was being relatively vague and not specific about what they're talking about, but the visuals that went along with it clearly got the message across that they're implying that Disney was possibly buying out seats to inflate Captain Marvel's numbers for its opening weekend to help keep its stock prices stable while it's acquiring Fox. It's an interesting theory. It's not terribly outlandish or anything like that. However, the acquisition's already going through, and Disney, through buying 20th Century Fox, and even before then, just because of the sheer weight of influence they had off their box office returns for already having Marvel and Lucasfilms and their own Disney movies and Pixar, they have an incredible amount of weight in Hollywood. And with the sucking up 20th Century Fox, I think I heard something where like they're almost like an entire third of mainstream Hollywood's production now, which means no one involved in the industry, from actors, producers, directors, media folks, people doing the little lay jobs like, you know, being the grip and all that kind of stuff, no one wants to piss them off, because not only are they a potential future employer, but they also have influence over everyone else around you for the same reason. So it kind of creates this web. And they don't really need to conspire to do things, not directly. In fact, they don't even have to think of it. They just have to be savvy enough to take advantage of things as they happen. Now, for whatever the motivating force is behind it for all the individual people out there engaging in this shit, for a couple of years now, it seems, or especially for the last year plus since The Last Jedi came out, there's been this very vocal faction online of agitated fans, and certain channels on YouTube and other platforms have been capitalizing on this, keeping the fury going and subtly encouraging people, not directly, not with their own words, but there is this kind of a wink and a nod attitude I see sometimes about certain activities fans do about swarming various sites and polls and stuff to bring the negative numbers down, all in this attempt to get Disney and Lucasfilm to listen to them, because they just want their opinions to be heard. I've been hearing the word opinions pop up a lot lately on comments. And I traced a lot of that back to Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers. I noticed in his videos he does like to throw out, you know, like everyone's entitled to their opinion. Well, the thing is opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one, and 99% of the time they're full of shit. So the fuck what? What you've done, you know, like another way of encouraging it is without actively asking people to do it, is by the fact that you cover these things to make content for your videos. People who want you to have more content fuel will themselves go out and to go do these things to help. But what's really going on here? Is it fixing anything at the studios? Are the studios listening? Judging from the rehiring of James Gunn, no. And that's good that they rehired James Gunn. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was basically like in the toilet without him. And he hasn't done anything criminally actionable. I wish they would return the favor with Roseanne, but I have a feeling that's not likely to happen. So the studios and the companies, they're not listening. There's been a bunch of media attention drawn to it, but your faction is entirely framed negatively as just being a bunch of online trolls and misogynists and anti-diversity. This doesn't sound good to normies. And normies are like, the thing that all of us on the internet kind of like tend to forget about is that there's the vast sea of people out there don't care about any of the shit we're talking about. They watch cat videos and people fucking trying to eat too much cinnamon. That's the kind of stuff they do when they're on the internet. They're not here for the same reasons we are. They don't give a shit about the entertainment stuff we care about. They don't give a shit about the political stuff we care about. Their bar of what an acceptable movie is massively, like, not even really comparable to where your average geek or true nerd sets their expectation levels at. They're looking for a totally different thing from the experience. And since they're the actual majority, they're the ones that the Disney is the most concerned with. And this also relates to politics. It's the normies that the political classes should be the most concerned with, because they're the sea of votes. They're the sea of money. Whatever it is you're trying to get out of them, they're your main target audience. They'll pat people on the head who are vocal in the right way on Twitter, because the internet's kind of like a gigantic wall, and everything that's a comment section, and Twitter's basically just a big giant scrolling comment section. It's kind of like writing graffiti on the walls, and it's all potentially permanent. And even without the blockchain stuff that's coming or in development, there's already the stuff where you had like the NSA or whatever building that fucking shit out in Utah that's supposed to be recording pretty much the whole internet anyway. So somewhere all this stuff's going to be saved. And so from a company's point of view, someone wrote "fuck Coca-Cola" on a wall, and that wall is going to be forever preserved, so that somewhere down the line, your future brand of whatever your Coca-Cola is 100 years from now will still have that fucking Coca-Cola graffiti to contend with and potentially turn someone off, a potential customer. It's a nitpicky little thing, but businesses have to feel concerned about their image and reputation. They don't, because if you're trying to sell Coke, you don't want people going around thinking it's funny writing "fuck Coca-Cola" on shit. So all this swarming activity that's been going on from the geeks, the aggravated geeks, the recent controversy with Rotten Tomatoes, what this has done has played perfectly into Disney's hands. Rotten Tomatoes, like anything else that's attached to the entertainment industry, wants to be able to maintain access and a favor, and they like having the promotions of like movies when they're putting out their ads, and they're like, "Hey, Rotten Tomatoes certified this fresh." That's not only like Rotten Tomatoes helping promote them, but that's also them in a mainstream fashion promoting people to go look at Rotten Tomatoes. There's a synergistic kind of thing going on there between them, and they don't want to lose that kind of shit. And Disney wants to keep their reputation clean. And engaging in these sorts of tactics has allowed them to gain more control over the internet, at least in the mainstream entertainment review type sites and channels and whatnot. Disney gives YouTube a lot of money for advertising, because I frequently see ads for all sorts of movies pop up in front of videos that I watch. And so if Disney then wants YouTube to kind of alter their algorithm, that's only kind of natural for YouTube, who like needs every little bit of revenue stream they can get. Because I haven't heard differently since hearing a couple years ago that they basically operate slightly in the red and at an overall loss for Google itself. But YouTube's so popular they can't really get rid of it. It kind of similar to how the New Zealand shooter, his whole point apparently is he wants to try to like start a race war or a civil war of some sorts here in America and I guess the West in general. All it's going to succeed in doing is just creating a stronger police state. And that's it. I don't know how it is in your country if you're not in the United States, but the United States was purposely like our military was restructured after our Civil War in such a way to make it extremely hard to ever have another civil war, because you can't really have a proper war without a military, and our military is not likely to fracture along any sort of factional regional areas. It's not. It's going to be hard. I have a hard time like seeing the army split up into pieces over political reasons, especially not racial reasons. And regional is pretty much off the table. And the fact that so much of the military is kept abroad and outside of the country at any given time, like if the shit goes down here, they're just going to be coming back to quash whatever's going on. They're not going to be as directly involved and the heated subjects have driven people to violence. So if the police themselves don't end up just handling it, because once again, you got that vast sea of normies. The vast sea of people out there do not care about any of this fucking political bullshit and meme war kind of stuff. They just want to go about their lives, go to work, raise their children. And they will gladly accept increased police presence in our lives if it means keeping Antifa and the alt-right from shooting each other to death, with Muslims in the mix. Just for kicks, apparently. So basically what I'm saying is you're being useful idiots. Now, political situations a little bit easier to handle because everyone can just go vote, and if people would just actually be more like experimental with their votes and just getting us away from these two parties, maybe we could find ourselves actually being put onto paths that have us less up in everyone's business around the world as we are. I'm, as a Star Trek philosopher of sorts, I do think that we should adopt kind of a non-interference policy, both into our personal lives and as to our conduct as nations. If people want to interact with you, then interact with them. But if they want you to be away from them, then leave them the fuck alone. Doesn't matter what resources they have that you might want. If you be nice, they're more likely to come around. If you beat them up to take their shit, they're forever going to resent you, kind of a thing. You just got to be willing to write things off as unattainable if you can't get desired cooperation. Do you want real influence over Disney, though? Do you really want Marvel and Lucasfilm to listen to you, the fans, and do what you want to do and get them off their socially progressive political agenda that they're trying to cram down your precious, precious, tender virgin throats? Well, stop giving money to Geeks and Gamers and the Anti-Trekker, and stop spending money on Indiegogo projects for Ethan Van Sciver and his friends, and instead take that money and buy shares in Disney, and then all together pull your influence that have like directly over the company in terms of, hey, we bought like actual stock in your fucking company, so you have to listen to us now. And even if individually all of you can only buy just maybe a couple shares each, if you just coordinate yourselves together under someone and create like a block faction, then you can actually get them to fucking listen to you, because they're the people in the end that Disney actually has to fucking answer to, is the fucking shareholders that they have to fucking pay out dividends to on a regular basis. But swarming fucking polls on random websites that you happen to catch wind of, and some fucking attempt to fucking spook the normies away from going to go see the movie for whatever reason, it's distorting it. It's not going to work. It's obviously not working. It's very obviously actually causing the reverse of what you want out of it. You're not achieving your goal, and in fact, you're strengthening the people that you view as your enemy. So you have to change your tactics. Plus, we got all this, there's just too much heat right now in terms of the normies starting to like notice just like how fucking weird all this shit is. And so perhaps if people tried to chill the fuck out a little bit and started trying to like do things and through proper goddamn channels, instead of just like fussing about their, my opinion, and then fucking getting people to fucking give them cash so that they don't have to fucking go to their gas station jobs. You're not listening. You're not going to listen. That's why you're going to continue to fucking fail. And that's why Yang Gang is going to beat the fucking alt-right.